and today we'll be talking about Eleanor. Now, so sorry this is late, but this was supposed to come out Monday, but I wasn't feeling well Monday. All this week, I haven't been feeling that great. My voice is still a bit scratchy, so I do apologize if that's the case. But anyway, this was supposed to come out Monday, but unfortunately I wasn't feeling that great. I'm slowly starting to feel better, but I still got a bit of a scratchy throat, so I have to be careful with what I do in this video as well. So anyway, we're going to talk about Eleanor. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot to talk about Eleanor, only because she doesn't have a lot of. When we talk about Eleanor and Brittany, they've got more like a more story arc with their characters, more development with their characters. Eleanor is not like that, so I'd be curious to see how, you guys feel about this, because Eleanor's not one of the main, well, she's part of the main 6, but she doesn't have a low screen time like all the other characters. Like, if you think about Theodore, Savage, and Jeanette as a whole, they don't have a lot of character development, like, at all. You might think differently, but that's just what it is. So this might be shorter than usual, but we'll see how I go with it. In the 80s, because Eleanor appeared in the 80s along with her sisters, Eleanor hasn't really changed much since the 80s. I mean, she's still the same cute little chipmunk we all know and love, but they've kind of updated her in some ways. Like, she's still a bit ditzy, she's still a bit naive, adorable, innocent, that kind of, when you think about Theodore and Eleanor type of personality. She's kind of like Theodore when you think about it, honestly. But, in the 80s, we'll talk about the 2015 show later, but in the 80s, she was, a lot sweeter and a lot kinder back then. We'll talk about the 2015 version later on. I feels Eleanor hasn't changed either. There's not really a lot of character development with Eleanor. But in the sequel, I thought her role was a bit bigger. I'm not sure if you felt the same way. Like, I thought she had an substantial role. I felt like Brittany and Jeanette were a bit sidelined and it was all focused on Eleanor. I felt like it was more focused on Eleanor's point of view than her sister's point of view. I'm not sure if you felt that way as well, but that's where I'm getting at. So in Chipwrecked, unfortunately it's a bit sidelined here, so you don't see too much. I think the reason why they wanted Eleanor to sprain ankle was because they didn't know what to do with her. Poor Eleanor, she's going through so much. Don't make her suffer even more. She can be a little bit athletic and a bit, we kind of see what happens in Chipwrecked when she gets that mango a little bit savage. She kind of reminds me of an animalistic Alvin, and she's not supposed to be relatable to Alvin. She's supposed to be more like a Theodore type. So it's interesting that would make Eleanor more athletic chipmunk, even though Theodore's not like that. But the similarities between Alvin and Eleanor are kind of similar, so I do kind of worry about that going forward as well. Right, if she does come back, she has a bigger role than her sisters do, which is an interesting choice. But I think the animation style that they did on Eleanor road trip, I just loved it so much. Particularly Eleanor and Jeanette had really good designs in the road trip. Brittany, not so much, but if you compare all of them, Brittany's supposed to be more of the pretty one, and that's why she had more of a prettier look. Eleanor and Jeanette are more of the cuter ones, I'm sorry, but it's so true. With their animation, if you see a scene in road trip, you understand why, but they're supposed to be more cuter than Brittany. Brittany's more of a pretty one. Like, you would expect, like, Brittany's still cute, but she's supposed to present more as a pretty one, not as a cute one like Eleanor and Jeanette are. This is where it gets interesting. I do not care for the 2015 Eleanor, I'm so sorry. But we'll talk about it later on. But she still has, her skills. Like, she does cooking still. I kind of miss the housewife Eleanor, to be honest. Like, bring back housewife Eleanor. #housewife Eleanor. She's still cooking the 2015 show as well in the cartoon. Theodore and Eleanor, let's talk about them as together. So, in the 2015 show, like, when you think of, like, coupling, characters that you love so much, Eleanor and Theodore have completely two different personalities from each other, They might be the same in similarities, but I feel like Theodore is, like, down here and Eleanor's, like, there. Like, what's going on? They're supposed to be equals. And I feel like sometimes Theodore's more childish, like, and Eleanor's more, like, the bossy pants of it all. So I'm like, that's not Eleanor. Like, sometimes she sometimes she, like, becomes a little bit aggressive towards Theodore. I'm like, Eleanor's not supposed to be that way. She's supposed to be equal to Theodore. She's supposed to be cuddly and loving like Theodore. So why isn't she like that? But in Sister Act, we'll talk about Brittany and Eleanor later on, but in Sister Act, it was her and Brittany up against one another. And someone commented to me on another Alan and Chipmunks video, and someone said, why didn't Chipettes live in their own, little tree house? And, but also, why do you think Eleanor's more mature than Brittany and Jeanette are? And I said, well, I don't think that's really the case. I mean, I don't think Brittany's is as mature as she thinks she is. She might be mature, but I think deep down inside, Brittany is immature, a bit like Alvin, and then you got Jeanette, who's kind of the shy one, trying to, peace of mind and calmness. And then you got Eleanor who's trying to, run the household a little bit. So I can understand. I mean, it is hard when you are the youngest out of two older sisters. I can't relate to that because I'm the eldest and I've got a younger brother as well. But if you are the youngest between your two older sisters, that is pretty hard. And I feel like in some capacity sometimes, the older sister's not as the responsible one, and you got the youngest who's as responsible. So it just depends on who you are, I guess. But I think, having Brittany for a sister is not easy. And Jeanette's trying to, zip her mouth, and then Eleanor's trying to So I think that's what's going on. Okay, so the episodes, you see Eleanor really going a little bit crazy and a little bit cuckoo. There are times where she's a bit too aggressive. She's a bit of a tomboy, but there are times where, she's aggressively, talking to the other characters and stuff like that. And also there's a time where she nearly threatened Alvin with a table lamp. I'm like, Eleanor, you gotta calm down, girl, what's going on? And there are times where, someone's trying to help her and she totally dismissed him. Like, Eleanor, you can't do that. Example, in the episode, Sick as a Chipmunk, one of my favorite episodes of all time, by the way, Eleanor is getting really frustrated at looking after a very sick Brittany. And if your brother or sister are sick, or your mom and dad are sick, you're like, I feel so sorry for you. Here's a cup of soup. Here's a cup of tea. You would probably do that. But Eleanor's just like, nope, I'm not taking it. So she fakes. I can't believe she pulled Jeanette. And I'm like, Jeanette's supposed to be the smart one. I'm like, hang on, Jeanette, you can get yourself out of this mess. But Eleanor tricks Jeanette and they fake being sick. And I'm like, Eleanor, this is a bad idea. She's tried, to play tricks on Brittany. She's more like a little bit of a female Alvin when you come to it, as well, with the mischievous and cheekiness as well. But, but they do come clean. Well, Eleanor comes clean in the end, and, she apologized for what she did, and it's so raw to fake that you're sick, and Brittany kind of relapses after that, so that's Eleanor's fault for doing that, actually. I can't believe Jeanette didn't say, hey, no, this is not right, we can't do this to our sister, she's family, she is sick, we need to help her. So, in another episode called Skater Girl, another favorite episode of mine as well, Eleanor is very abusive and aggressive towards Brittany. There's one point where she pushes her off the ledge, and I'm like, Eleanor, you can't do that to Brittany, your sister. You can't do that. And then she grabs her body arm later on back onto the ledge. I'm like, Eleanor, you can't do this. This is abuse. This is assault. And then later on at the end, she pushes Alvin. I'm like, Eleanor, you could commit Alvin of having an injury or something. She's like, oh no, did I do that? Also, there are times when they team up and detectives, and I'm like, is this a way to get Eleanor's storyline in here? You can't play detective all the time. Eleanor's not really a detective. She's more of a singing chipmunk. So why make that a detective? It's not Alvin and Chipmunk's detectives. So I don't know why that is. But there are times where, she teams up with another school person called Cheesy in one of the episodes, but I'm like, this is not a detective show. This is a chipmunk show, not a detective show. So why is Eleanor portrayed as a detective? I honestly think it's something for her to do, basically, and, Vanessa Bacteseres, who plays Eleanor, basically, I think that's just a bit of a, waste of time for her to be on screen, just for, just to be a detective. Eleanor does play baseball in one of the episodes, and I think that's that's pretty cool, but I think what really works in the 80s is that, she really desperately wants to be on a soccer team, and I think that's so cool for a female character to do. You're like, yeah, go Eleanor, we're cheering you on. I think season 1 was probably my favorite iteration of Eleanor, and I really liked how Alvin and Eleanor really, talk to each other because they have both common interests of soccer, and, you've seen the episode. It's a really good episode. Go check it out. But Al was kind of worried of Eleanor taking up the coaching because everybody voted him out. And I feel like, this is kind of like a father-daughter thing. Like, I don't know, but hypothetically speaking, if Alvin had a daughter, like, he would probably tell her the same thing, exactly saying to Eleanor what he would say to his daughter someday about, coaching and, sports and stuff. And I think it's really interesting. And I think that soccer really works for Eleanor, and I think they should stick to that more often than doing all these other things. Because if you pile up one thing, it's just too much, and I think, just stick to one route. Make the character simplify as you can, and just work with that, basically. So another thing I want to touch up on is I like the relationship between Eleanor and Dave because we don't see the Chipettes, talk to Dave or any interaction with Dave, so I kind of like that. But yeah, overall, Eleanor's got a little bit of fixing up to do, fixer-upper to do. Her personality is a mess overall, distraughted personality as well. But yeah, you could totally fix that. And I think out of all the characters, she needs the most help. Like, I would focus more on Eleanor than all the other characters because she needs more help than the others. And I think that, there is a chance that she will get redeemed, and I'm glad they're, rebooting all these characters, because these characters are a bit of a mess at the moment. So we'll see. So what do you think? Do you think Eleanor needs a re-arcing of a new character arc? I think so. Like, I feel like she needs to be redeemed in some way, because the 2015 show has made her so poorly, and so much more. So what do you think?